I want to read something to you that the Apostle John wrote a long time ago, specifically in 90 AD. Who was the Apostle John? Well, he recorded the Apocalypse or the Revelation, which is the final book of the Bible. Now, in chapter 13 of the Revelation, he talks about the rise of a world government, very powerful world government that will be ruled by a very diabolical and powerful ruler who we know will be the Antichrist. But he said something very interesting in chapter 13, beginning at verse 16, of a type of economic surveillance system that this man will institute. And he said this, he said, he, the Antichrist, obviously, also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. Didn't make a lot of sense in 90 AD, but it makes a lot of sense today. Now, ancient kingdoms and empires certainly had various forms of identification. They put marks on people so it would identify who they were with and where they lived. But you could escape those places and get away from them. But what John reveals is that this is going to be an all-inclusive type of mark, a system that will be recognized all over the world. And it has to be electronic. In other words, that it will be hooked into a main computer, some supercomputer somewhere, that will have the identity of everyone on Earth. And unless you receive this mark, you will be unable to buy, sell, transact, or do anything. Now, of course, this mark is tied in to a provision that all who receive this mark will have to worship this man, the Antichrist, as God himself. In the next chapter, chapter 14, the Lord warns us through John that anybody who receives this mark is going to, even if they are professing Christians, if they receive this mark, they are going to be lost forever. They're going to lose their salvation. Now, what John wrote in 90 AD didn't make a lot of sense then, but it certainly makes a lot of sense now, considering the type of technology that we have today. We can track just about anything and anyone now on Earth. And this sort of system is going to come in and it's going to be promoted as something very vital, very positive. We're going to do away with cash and coins and checks and debit cards and credit cards. Those can be stolen, counterfeited. It's going to do away with drug cartels, who are very violent, commit a lot of murder. It's going to do away with holdups and bank robberies, and it's going to be promoted as the ultimate solution, and it's not going to be able to be counterfeited because it's going to be tied. Each mark is going to be tied to the individual that it's issued to. It could be tied into their DNA. It's going to have a DNA imprint that can't be counterfeited. So why are we talking about this today? Because we are closer than ever to this cashless society that John revealed in 90 AD. We're getting very close to this system. Sweden, Scandinavian country, may be the first country to do away with cash. They are determined to cut off printing banknotes in the very near future because obviously, people in Sweden and most other places don't use cash anymore. Very seldom use cash. It's all electronic now. And so Sweden is talking about doing away with banknotes, and other nations are considering that as well. So we're getting very close. And this mark, ultimately is going to contain all of your personal information, who you are, where you live, where you work, your spouse, if you're married, your children, all your banking information. And you won't be able to do any of that sort of thing. Transact business, buy, sell, or invest, or do anything without this mark. And for Christians, those who are going to be on earth when this system is instituted, and we're getting very close, well, it's going to be the ultimate challenge to them. Do they go with the world and the Antichrist and accept this mark so that they can survive on earth? Or do they forego the mark and put themselves in harm's way, in very real danger of being executed for denying the Antichrist? Now, that sounds very incredible to a lot of people, but again, consider in 90 AD, this didn't make a lot of sense. Today, it makes a lot of sense. We have the technology to track all sorts of things and people all over the world today. And all we need now is just a government, a system, a ruler who will institute this diabolical system. Will we see it in our lifetimes? I don't know, but we are that close. And things can happen very rapidly here. And the technology is already in place. We already have the technology to do this sort of thing, to, spy on people, to keep track of everybody. And when this terrible system is instituted, a lot of people are going to think it's great. It's going to do away with all sorts of financial crimes and problems, but it's going to create a much bigger problem for people. So Christians, if you're on earth, when this system is implemented, it's getting very close. If you receive this mark of the beast, well, you're damned for eternity. And if you reject it, well, you're going to be persecuted for a particular period of time. You may be put to death, but you will be with God in Christ forever in their wonderful kingdom of heaven. So keep in mind, we are getting very close to the end, and we're a lot closer than a lot of people even realize. Thank you again, and God bless.